Hey there, just wrapped up filming a little KinChunk for hip external rotation, and we were really excited about this one because you're able to do it from just a chair, so you can kind of sneak it in throughout your day. But as we were setting this up, we were realizing there are just a ton of variables that you can play with to tailor fit this setup to your hip and to your tightness. So basically, when we're getting into a stretch like this, we generally are externally rotating the hip. But you might notice that my pelvis is facing the camera towards you, but that my femur is a little bit out to the side. So that's one way you can adjust. You could bring it more in front of you, more out to the side. You might also be like, you don't get any stretch, this doesn't feel like an end range position, and you might feel more of that stretch ankle on top, and the class will work just fine from here as well. The only other one that really stood out to me, maybe Hannah saw some other stuff too, is that bending my knee more than 90 degrees really helps me sort of tailor fit it. So if I'm bent in tight, it's a little less stretch. If I open the knee up more, I get more torque on the joint. So angle of thigh bone, amount of bend in the knee, and definitely how much you're rotating the thigh. Anything else that...
The other thing we talk about it in the video, but we have you kind of use a towel, we just use a hoodie or something to prop up whatever that space is here. Sometimes that actually means, let me have you turn a little bit, actually a little that way. Sometimes what that actually means is that we over prop and then it kind of settles down. Because you really what we want is to be able to have a truly passive stretch. And if your leg is unsupported and kind of uncomfortable, the likelihood, lift up your arm for a second, that you're holding some amount of tension in this flow of tissue to keep your leg in that position is high. So if we can really wedge that under there, and again, the higher up the thigh, the sort of more it will support, will just like sigh, right?
It feels
like,
so much
like,
better.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. I can relax.
Yeah.
Side note, if you're trying to sit crisscross legged while you're like meditating or what have you, and you find that you get a lot of discomfort here being in the position over time, try wedging something under your leg to support that position so that it can truly be passive and relaxed.
Oh yeah, and that actually brings to mind one other part of this, and actually any rotational work that we do, is that, you know, when we're working rotation, we're focusing on the deepest tissue of the joint. That's the capsular tissue. All of the other muscles grow out of that tissue, that capsule, basically. So while you might feel stretches in all around the hip, that really makes sense. We want to emphasize that for hip capsule work or any capsule work, you're actually trying to feel for the capsule, which means you kind of have to know where that is. So in this class, she says it like you're aiming for a stretch in the kind of back pocket area. But the reality is you might not feel that obviously at first, and that might actually indicate you need to do this position. You have to work these contractions to help you get closer to it. So just whatever you're noticing, totally fine, no judgment zone, but at the same time, try to make your way towards that really deep sensation right in the back pocket area.
And like close to the bone,
yes.
Right? Your glute, if you will, the whole area that we sort of refer to as the bum or the butt, like there's many layers of muscle between where your bones are and what we see at the skin level. So you might feel sort of the superficial stuff stretching first, but we really want to start to hone in and be able to feel, and you'll start to feel this. There's like a close to the bone feeling where you're like, oh, that's like in there.
Yeah.
And it's like little smaller pieces or smaller swaths.
And it's literally like it's where the tissue connects to the bone. So it's not, it's literal. like you might actually feel it in your bone, and that
literally close to the bone.
And it'll take some practice to probably feel that.
Yeah, faux show.
Take your time to find the stretch though, because it is uber worth it once you get there to really start communicating with your capsules. So stay with it.
Have fun.